Taiwanese index is down 0.4%.
The SL Group companies have agreed to enter into a settlement with JC Flowers, ARC.
Bank Nifty has failed to close above its 40-day exponential moving average for 3 days in a row.
We are on track with what we had committed in terms of growing faster than the industry generally.
In just the last 2 weeks, the company has received 3 orders which are worth over 17,000 crore.
The first tick on the index in flat terrain.
In India, a combination of expansion of the addressable market with significant support from the domestic flows, which makes the market more stable.
Market regulator SEBI is also investigating in the matter.
55% of the industry is still not having recovered to pre-pandemic levels.
We haven't had I don't think we've had one product or one market where we've not actually succeeded.
There are so many disclosures, audits, due diligence, etc. that you need to go through that disclose why you're getting a certain amount of commission or fees for doing what you're doing.
But importantly, the overall cumulative subscription over 23,000 odd crore rupees, nearly 24,000 crores.
We have the mid-cap index, which is up around 47 odd points.
Well, that was the day so far. You're with us here on a fresh new edition of Closing Bell. We're coming to you live from the CNBC-TV18 Mozilla Oswald studios. I'm Prashant. With me, my colleagues Rima and Surabhi here in this, right next to me. Rima, hi. Surabhi, hi.
Hi.
Nigel, of course, joins us from the newsroom floor. Guys, hi, good afternoon. It's a bit of a disappointing day, isn't it? So we've got the market, which is down 70 points, and there's no... okay, now I can see everyone, and everyone I guess can see me. Hi, guys. Afternoon. All right, well, you've got a 70-point cut now on the index. So 19,278 is what we have. You're at the lowest point of the day. So no bounce, no recovery. Support, by the way, comes in at 19,210, the same number that we put out in the morning. The low which the Nifty went to after breaking the previous low was 19,230, but 19,210, go with that number. It will be go all the way down to that level. It's not very far away, another 50-60 points. We'll see, and that should hold. Now, banks are underperforming for the second straight session. The Nifty ended flat yesterday. The Bank Nifty was down about 0.6%. The support there comes in about 1% away, which is about 43,600. Remember, the Nifty broke its previous low. Bank Nifty did not. 43,600 has not been broken, so that's the one to watch. Broader markets are doing well, but it's nothing like yesterday. Mid caps are flat, and the small cap index is, the last I checked, has got about 0.5% or so on it. Yesterday was much more exuberant in the broader markets as well. Rima.
Hi. So the last hour is going to be very crucial. For one, we've got the August series expiry, and two, the MSCI related flows. The adjustment could take place today. So just to recap the August series, the Nifty is down 1.7%, while the mid-cap index is, done really well. The mid-cap index is closed in with a gain of close to about 4.5%. About the MSCI Global Standard August review changes, which are effective today, Vivek was telling us earlier, there are changes in like PI industry, ACC, UPL, etc. But the net, there is going to be an inflow of over $1 billion. And the interesting thing is there are 41 changes, additions or a weight up in the small cap index. So that also gives you an indication of the flavor of the market. 41 increases, changes positively on the small cap index. GDP data is out at 5:30 p.m. So that's going to be another crucial index. And just to talk about IT, because if it wasn't for IT today, the fall on the Nifty would have been far more. The Nifty IT index is higher today. This August series, it's rallied more than 4.5%, inching towards a 5% gain. And now it's just 1.2% away from its all-time high levels. And look at individual constituents and Emphasis, Persistent, Zensa, Coforge. Very, very big gains seen today. And even in this August series, these stocks have rallied 15 to 20%. One more stock in the large cap space, Maruti, that's the top Nifty gainer. And with the up move today, it's again reclaimed the 10,000 mark. So that magic number of 10,000 is back on Maruti.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And Maruti is actually one of the best performing stocks on the index with a solid gain. Otherwise, today's day and the weakness is such that beyond a Tech Mahindra and a Maruti, you don't even have too many other Nifty stocks where you can count a 1% gain. The rest is, fairly weak, led by the banks. Obviously, the bank Nifty is right now really dragging its feet. It's down about 0.6% as we speak. On the broader market side, today is not a day of euphoria for the mid-cap market. Though, yes, there is outperformance compared to the Nifty. The mid-cap index is flat, so that's looking much better. but it hasn't seen a sustained up move. If you talk about the volume buzzers on the upside, you'll always find some some stocks that are defying the otherwise red-looking screen. I mean, look at Dilip, Buildcon, NCC, some of these road contracting players, EPC players, they're having a pretty good day today, 7-8% on a couple of these names. Uflex, remember, at the same time, 24 hours ago, we were discussing Uflex. It was on 20% circuit yesterday, another 7-8% today. So you do have, individual stocks that are grabbing the headlines, but then there is an element of caution. Just want to mention some of the stocks where we've seen big block deals today. 13% sort of equity moving around. MedPlus is one of them. 7.5% down on MedPlus after those blocks happened. The other would be Sula, which is down about 4%. And finally, Gokuldas Exports. You've been hearing us talk about it ad nauseum, that huge move over the first 3 days of this week. Today, there's some profit taking on Gokuldas. It's down about 7 to 8%. But otherwise, a bit of a weak-looking screen, Nigel.
Well, that's right. And after a good 4 series that we had well in the green, well, the Nifty is going to close with a cut of more than 300 points. A little bit disappointing in that sense, but whatever goes up has to come down as well. So maybe some kind of evening out there. Now, the problem is the Nifty Bank, as you mentioned, and we're trading below the 100 DMA, mildly so, 100 points lower. So on a closing basis, if you want to scalp something, then you'll want the Nifty Bank at least to end a little above the 100 DMA. Let's see how that goes. On the Nifty itself, we're seeing very aggressive call writing at the 19,300 call as well as the 19,350 call. So both of them, that'll be a bit of a resistance zone. Even if we get up and kicking, 19,320 approximately will be a bit of a resistance. On the downside, though, the hope is that this 19,250 odd mark does hold out, because the highest open interest is around that mark. We've seen a fair bit of build up at around 19,250, and now we're just 20 points away from those levels. So let's see how this plays out. But otherwise, the bears will feel quite good unless the bulls, can take the Nifty a little bit higher towards the 19,350. Maybe then we'll see some of those shots that will cover out. But let's tell you, how do you trade this final hour of trade? Mitesh is with us. Mitesh, weak-looking screen. No other way to put it, right?
Nigel, I think, what is happening over here is that on the index, we've not been able to give strong pullback despite the fact that we have kind of tested levels closer to 19,250 on 3 occasions. So I think every time the pullback has been shallower than before. Last time we were here, we did a low of 19,253, and then which was on the 18th of August, and then we went up to as high as 19,580. And then, 25th of August, we again came down to 19,230, but this time the high was only 19,450. So it's making lower highs. That is slightly worrying for me. That means that the buying force at 19,200 is slightly getting weaker. I would be now, watching this level of 19,200 very closely. In case we break, I think there could be another 200 points decline happening in the Nifty on an immediate basis. So mildly, in that sense, exiting long positions over there. On the stock side, also, I have one buy and one sell. Manappuram is something, which is holding out well, and that's a buy with a stop at 149.5 for targets of around 160. While Petronet LNG is something which is looking very weak, that's given some negative crossovers. So sell here with a stop at 219 for targets of 209.
Okay, all right, Mitesh, thanks a lot for that. Well, Dilip Bhatt as well joins us on the show. Dilip, a lot of stocks to discuss with you. But first up, let me just give an introduction to Jio Financial Services and why exactly we're looking at that. It's part of the Nifty as well as the sensex, but it will be excluded from the sensex from all S&P BSE indices. Now, Novoma has come out with a note, and they are saying that it suggests that 60 million shares could be sold by sensex passive funds. So we'll have to keep an eye out on that front. On the Nifty, it won't be deleted till it doesn't hit the circuit for 2 consecutive days. So it continues to remain out there. Additionally, though, it comes out of T2T. That's a trade-to-trade segment from September 4th. So then that circuit limit will be flexed. And then in all probability, you wait for a couple of days that it moves out of the Nifty as well. But that's the broad update out there. It makes its way out of the sensex, while for the Nifty, it has a couple of more trading sessions that it can trade out them. And T2T from Monday, so then you'll see that circuit getting flexed as well. Dilip Bhatt is with us. Dilip, what do you make of Jio Financial Services? It had a big listing, then it saw a correction. But from the lows as well, it's recovered. At around 240 rupees, what's your view?
Well, Nigel, I think as far as Jio is concerned, I would still prefer to wait and watch. I know some very good buying has happened in this particular stock, and possibly that is still going to get some more momentum. But I don't think on the fundamental side there is enough clarity or visibility as to how they want to take this forward. All said and done, it's an Ambani company, so rightly so it deserves all kind of recognition, all kind of, the attention that it gets. But apart from that, since the fundamentals on the working front is not too very clear as to what kind of business and how they will really ramp it up, they still have something more to do. So in the meanwhile, I would still prefer to wait and watch, knowing fully well that possibly that there is a lot of interest in buying which is happening. But having said that, I would still prefer to wait and watch till the fundamentals give us ample clarity as to how they want to take it forward.
Afternoon, and thanks so much for joining in. Any thoughts on Sula Vineyards? The stock has corrected today because of the large block deal which took place where one of the investors, Whirl Invest, has paired off his holding. He had about an 18.6% holding. Of that, he sold about 12.5%, 13% stake. So the stock is under pressure. But from here on, how would you view Sula Vineyards? Because the wine tourism business is doing well, but the stock hasn't done too much in the last few months.
Sure. I think with all the kind of noises that we hear about this particular industry, so this particular industry, as we all know, continues to get rattled by a lot of volatile kind of news which just keeps on floating. And more so as we head towards the election year, we'll hear more about it. But having said that, I think the entire industry possibly will see a very checkered kind of movements. And in my opinion, Sula also will not buck the trend. And especially when such a big block has happened and possibly the balance 6%, I do not know when they want to sell. But even fundamental-wise, I always thought it was a little more expensive, though industry as such, on a longer-term basis, certainly is very good. But in the short to medium term, I think there are enough challenges the industry has to face.
Okay, got that. Stay on the lip. We'll have more questions for you. But let's focus on one stock that has really caught the buyer's fancy over the last 24 hours. BSE has been fired up. Literally, when we saw that yesterday, we saw that today as well. There you go, about 8% even today. This after HDFC Securities upgraded the stock and they've declared it a buy. It's a pretty solid upgrade, actually. Quite a large price target increase as well. Surabhi Sutaria is here with the details. Why is HDFC Securities optimistic on BSE, Surabhi?
They're largely, betting on the equity derivative segment. So as you said, they've upgraded it from an add to a buy rating and also raised the target price to 1,230 rupees from 940 earlier. So as I said, they are seeing some success in the equity derivative segment, and which is largely led by the weekly index options that was started back in May 2023. Now the market share in equity derivative segment for the month of August is 3.4%, which was nearly nothing in the month of June. So they've gained 3% market share, and they also expect the derivatives market share to reach 10% by Q4 of this fiscal itself. And this will be led by onboarding of new large number of brokers, also launch of newly weekly index contracts, increased hedging activity, and also continued increase in the number of active traders. They expect a revenue and an EPS compounded growth of 19% and 25% respectively over the next 3 fiscals. So it's a very solid upgrade on BSE by HDFC.
Surabhi, Rima, principally also, right, as someone was saying, it makes sense. Now, it's not ascribing a value in terms of what BSE should trade at, but it can't be that there is only one exchange, which is the National Stock Exchange. I remember the last press conference, I was there, and this question was put to the SEBI chairperson, and she kind of did agree that institutionally also it is beneficial for the system. That you look at the US, right? I mean, they've got multiple exchanges. You look at any other country, you've got many exchanges. So, but
here it's been NSE's dominance
in the F&O side, more on the F&O side. So in cash, BSE has a decent presence.
But but the point is that the major segment in terms of if you look at volumes is F&O, right?
Is
So
F&O.
that the market share is upwards of, I think, whatever, 95%.
I think 90% plus easily.
Easy.
In August, that's what Sudhir was telling us, right? In June, their share in equity derivatives was practically zero, and it's gone up to about 3.5, 3.6% in the month of August. So in 2 months itself, they've managed to
Now, we don't know
some.
what the institutional framework can do to help BSE, but it certainly is, it's a need of the hour to have one other strong exchange as well. Can't be just one.
Right now, it's very confusing because there have been some multiple changes on which expiry is for,
Lot of products,
which, it's a little confusing
Just
right now.
assume every day there is an expiry.
There is
We'll
an
go with
expiry
it.
every single day, but I think even earlier this week there was some change on that. But yeah, let's get to Dilip and get his view in. Dilip, BSE, thoughts on that?
Well, I think the way the stock price has moved up, I think it certainly suggests that it is not just that they are looking at BSE in terms of the valuation, but even on a relative basis with NSE, it will always be compared. And as NSE gets more attractive for the investors, despite all the kind of prices that one is hearing about NSE and the likely listing. So I think in that sense, BSE will continue to look relatively cheap. And that is where probably the trade will look to buy more of BSE and catch up with that. But otherwise, I would still say that the kind of model which NSE and BSE both has, it's a kind of an annuity model with growth coming in, with growth kicking in. So, and as we all know, it generates a good amount of free cash. So all those bites really are very, very in favor of both the stocks. But I would still say that the way it has run up from the current level, despite the fact that it will still continue to grow at 20% or 25%, which is what it was even, say, maybe 6 months back, which is what we were expecting, I don't think I would be in a hurry to buy BSE from the current level. I would still wait for a decent level for it to enter.
Dilip, do you own NSE shares?
Sorry?
Do you own NSE shares, Dilip?
No, I don't.
Okay. All right. You're one of the few noted investors who not actually few, but everyone I speak to has an issue. They're happy about it, but the price has not really gone anywhere. You're saying that as NSE gets valuable, it will get valuable, but it's not traded, so I guess there's no liquidity in that sense, right? But I don't think the price has done very much for a while. It's still around those same kind of levels. What else are you doing, Dilip? There are so many stories in the market. Which one are you following? I'm talking about stock-specific stories.
So I think, as what I understand right now, that the mid caps really are on fire, and certain select mid caps are really playing it out quite well. So what I would say that, from my perspective, I'm being a lot more cautious. I would still prefer to wait and watch. I would not be in a hurry. Rather, I would like to book profits in the mid cap, because the way the markets are poised and the way the mid caps are behaving, typically, I think, as what I have understood in the past so many years, as frontline gets a lot more expensive, which is what valuation certainly is not in favor of the current levels at which it is trading. So I think generally the mid caps tend to do so well, and particularly also when the flows are reasonably good, we find the mid caps getting a lot more attention, which is what is happening. So I think on a mid cap basis, I would still be a little more cautious, not be in a hurry to buy at all. Even on an overall market basis, I would still prefer to wait and watch, because I think markets have run up quite a bit, and considering the fact that we're heading towards, there are so many moving factors, which I would like to call it a state of flux, whether it is monsoon, whether it is US interest rates, whether we are having the elections that are going to come. I think all these are going to have their say. And all said and done, Nifty is not available so cheap. And so the stocks within that also are not very cheap. But within that, if one were to still pick and choose, I would say something like Larsen & Toubro looks pretty good and interesting. I think on a longer term basis, this company looks pretty good to buy on a longer term basis. And maybe something like an HDFC Bank, which is still facing the headwind because the Deepak Parekh, and the entire senior management team of HDFC have all now exited. So now there's a second headwind which HDFC is facing. But possibly that's a stock which has underperformed very grossly in the last 25-30 months. That can surprise people on the upside. That possibly looks very much. But as what I said, that any change in the management always weighs very heavily on the stock prices. But otherwise, I would still prefer to wait and watch on an overall basis.
Do stay on. By the way, now the sell-off has encompassed the mid-cap index. The mid-cap index was holding up in the green throughout the trading session, but now has slipped 100 points. So the mid-cap index is down about 0.3%. Pull up the advanced decline ratio. For the first time in the day, the advanced decline ratio has more stocks which are in the red compared to the stocks in the green. And individual names, pull up an M&M Financial, down 0.3%, Biocon, PFC, REC, Cummins, Apollo Tyres, all these stocks are seeing some very sharp falls in the last few minutes. So now it's getting a little eerie. The Nifty itself is heading towards 19,250. The series low was 19,229. So we're still about 30 points away from that level. But 19,250 is also a level from which we had seen multiple reversals in the last 1 month. So getting to a critical juncture. We'll slip into a break. On the other side, we'll be joined by Pashupati Advani of Global Foray. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. 90 down on the Nifty, 19,255. Remember, we have all through the month of August, at least 5 or 6 times, we have taken support around these levels. The zone of 19,230 and 250, 255. It hasn't broken till now. Let's see. We still have over 40 minutes of trade left, and there's a lot of momentum on the downside today. So we'll see how that goes. But for the time being, an important story. Sources are telling us that SEBI is in advanced stages of investigation in the Axis Bank Max Life deal. And SEBI is also examining the valuation discrepancy in the transactions. Yash is joining in with the details. Yash, what exactly are you picking up on this?
Well, Surbi, the transaction that you spoke about, under that transaction, Axis Bank is scheduled to pick up about 20% stake in Max Life Insurance. Now, this transaction was to be executed in two stages, first 13% and then the balance stake. The first 13% has already been acquired, and that got done at an average price of 32 rupees per share. After that, the insurance regulator came down on Axis Bank and Max Life both, saying that there is valuation discrepancy. The valuation hasn't been done as per fair market value, and hence a penalty was imposed on both companies. After which, for the balance stake, the price was revised to 113 rupees per share. Now, what we've been given to understand from our sources is SEBI is investigating the first tranche of the transaction, where 32 rupees per share was the price which was determined. According to SEBI, they've been investigating a loss of shareholder value for the retail and the public shareholders, since that 32 rupees price per share was an undervaluation to the current price. Now, we've written to all entities involved in this particular transaction. Max Financial has informed the exchanges that they have received a request from SEBI in terms of submitting documents and clarifications which with respect to this particular transaction, and they've done all of that. But just to quickly give you the numbers, if 113 is what the price now has been fixed at, and 32 was for the first 13%, then the value difference itself is about 1800 crore, and that is exactly what SEBI will be looking at in terms of taking any further action on the entities.
All right, Yash, thanks very much for that. So, I mean, IRDA took note, took action, and now Yash is picking up that SEBI is perhaps also looking at this one closely. It's investigating the matter. Now, ahead of Eicher Motors' all-new Bullet 350 launch tomorrow, Eicher's Managing Director and CEO, Siddharth Lal, addressed a media roundtable. He spoke about how he wants to position the company to serve both new premium markets and emerging markets as well. He spoke about the company's electric vehicle plans as well. So interesting comments, actually, especially on the EV side. Listen in.
We said mid-size, where we will serve everybody. We will serve the premium end of markets like India, and we will serve the emerging mid-size market in Western markets and more developed countries. Our core objective of what we're trying to do, where we're trying to go, how we're trying to do it, none of that has wavered. And what that's given us is that ability to be able to plan for very long term. The idea is not to come out with the product quickly. The idea is to come out with an amazing product, right? So a product that will actually interest people, will change the market dynamic. So that's the idea. So firstly, there's zero delay. Our plan has always been to be out in the market in 2025 sometime. That still stands, so no delay. We're always open to partnership, but we don't partner much. So in our last 20 years, we've not really partnered with anybody. We've done everything on our own. I mean, we make really, really good petrol engines and motorcycles, and we don't intend to stop doing that, and we intend to continue to invest there and continue to do great stuff. In fact, we've just started making great stuff, so we don't want to stop it all right now, So that train is going to continue as long as we can keep that train going. But on the other hand, we really believe in EV, and we really believe that EV has a space. But it's not one for one. I think that's what the discovery we've got. It's not one for one, right? It's not like you can take a petrol motorcycle and switch it around and put some batteries in and make an EV out of it.
Okay, well, that's interesting comment, saying that not in a tearing hurry to launch a EV sort of product, saying, well, there are lots of them, but they don't the offtake is not that great, so we'll launch one when the customer understands and is kind of ready for it. Eicher there on your screen. The big problem, of course, for Eicher is still competition, right? Which is still in the very initial early stages, both from the big sort of player, Hero and Bajaj as well with their respective tie-ups. Pashupati Advani is with us of Global Foray. Pashupati, good to have you with us here. Thank you very much. I know you like fancy cars. I don't know about bikes, but any thoughts on Aisha?
Well, on an offside, I actually just got a bike license in the hope that I'll buy an EV before later in my life. So I have done that. So I'm waiting for the EVs. No, I think what has actually happened in the electric vehicle space is that people are concerned about batteries. People are concerned about a different technology coming into batteries. Plus, people are also saying that, we haven't got the infrastructure, certainly in India, to be able to cater to all the EVs that we're producing. So maybe it's better to go a little slow and let the infrastructure catch up. I mean, I know all the oil marketing companies are setting up charging points in their petrol pumps, but they're still slow. And if the number of vehicles crosses the number of chargers, there's going to be, there are already more vehicles than chargers. So that's causing some kind of a thing. It's like parking in a Bombay building, and you guys all live in Bombay, so you know what that's like. So similar to that, I think you've got those issues. And plus, as you said, if you've got, if you're living in a building and you don't have charging points, or you're parking your car outside, how do you actually, charge it, or your two-wheeler or your four-wheeler? So these are all questions that have to be answered. And I think he's probably doing the right thing by taking it a little easy to come in 25, because I guess the expectation for a good product is also there. Prashant?
Hi, Pashupati. Good afternoon, sir. What about Paytm? You've told us numerous times that you're quite positive on the stock. I think you made some money when you got in at around 500, and at higher levels you exited. But now it's around 850 rupees. Do you continue to remain positive on the stock? And what about the other names? Zomatos of the world, the Nykas of the world. Are you positive out there, or would you choose Paytm among these?
Well, out of that pack of four, big IPOs that came at that time, Paytm has been my favorite. I think it's the one with the proper model that works. As I said, I'm praying that it comes down into the 700s again, so I can re-enter. But it's easier said than done. It's been up over 900. Now it's at 850, around 850, I guess, the last time I checked. So, it is fun. Regarding the others, the reality is all these companies are still not really making money. So I think that as long as they have negative cash flow, it does pose some kind of an issue, on them. But, they are newer companies. They are companies that we're getting used to. Can you ask people what they would do without Swiggy and Zomato now? It's almost like household word for most people. And they're certainly benefiting from that. Obviously, if there's any kind of a recession in India, then they will cut back. But we're still following the US DoorDash, and even Uber has got into the space. So, those things are still going on. So I think these things are here to stay, at least the Zomato and Swiggy.
Pashupati, what have you made of the latest news flow on oil marketing companies? The LPG price cut, the possibility of some regulatory overhang ahead of the elections. The stocks have sold off nearly 5% in the last 2 days. I remember in a previous conversation you said you would look at OMCs, maybe as a tactical play. But now how would you approach oil marketing companies?
Well, I think what does happen in OMCs is that they do make money. With higher oil prices, they're the one. The petrol, the price at the pumps, there seems to be some cap on. So I think that their margins are going to get squeezed. So I think that's what's actually coming. And of course, they've also got to put in charging infrastructure, which is also going to cost them money. And again, like everything else, it's a capex, which is going to take time. But the reality is, I think the margins are going to get squeezed, and this $200 cut in gas is, in the cylinder price is obviously going to hurt them, because that 200 is going to come straight from their pockets. I think it seems to be, and it's a gift. It's a gift to the nation. It's a gift to the nation. It's a timely gift. It's a timely gift. We needed it because I think gas cylinder prices had gone berserk, but it is a gift to the nation.
A Raksha Bandhan gift to the nation, Pashupati, as the Prime Minister called it. Yes, that's what it is. Yeah. Speaking of elections, I remember last time we had you on the show, you said that you actually like, a couple of infrastructure companies. Some of them actually are doing pretty well today, Dilip Bilkon, and I noticed a few of the other stocks. Now, we're talking elections, it's election season. How would you look at this space? Do you think there's any last bit of infra spending left before we start getting into the, next year code of conduct and all that? So is there a play left on infra stocks, or do you think the bulk of it is over because they've had a good run?
Well, there is obviously a huge push to complete projects. I think we've seen the Prime Minister inaugurate a whole bunch of railway stations. He's now also going to want to inaugurate a whole bunch of important roads. And he's got between now and middle of 24 before the elections to do it. He has to set up all these things. So there's huge pressure to deliver, to finish these last mile. And a lot of our infrastructure in the road space definitely is really suffering from a last mile problem. 250 kilometers done, 4 kilometers is left, 6 kilometers is left. So there's a huge push to get those done. And, the big infra boys are out there trying to get it done and, to make sure that the projects that the Prime Minister dreamt of actually becomes a reality before elections. So I think that they will be good, and the government is going to continue to spend in that sector very, very aggressively. And, because of that, you've also got jobs and things that come off it. So that's all very good for India.
So, Pashupati, last time you gave us one name. You said Jay Kumar. You can't miss them, right? You're driving through Bombay. There's no way you'll miss a Jay Kumar board. Any new names, anything else? I mean, lots of players actually in the space. There's, NCC, there is Dilip, quite a few other names as well. Which ones would you look at, and what's your criteria?
The criteria is basically to look for ones which actually have a lot of work going. Jay Kumar's, despite the subways, the prices have gone up. I mean, it's now in the 400s. It was in the 300s, I think, when I was last on the show. And, it's doing well. So like that, the good ones are doing well. They're visible. And the thing is to just take nibbles from all of them because they're all going to benefit. Again, there is some systematic danger. Like if you don't get the the last mile sorted out, then, you are bleeding because you're not able to collect the last big chunk of money. But otherwise, they've all got multiple projects. And, the names you mentioned are the top of the pack and definitely should be invested in, like the Dilips, like the NCCs.
By the way, looks like at least the first attempt to protect 19,250 is taking place. The low was 19,253. And from there, the Nifty has seen an uptick of close to about 20 odd points. Pashupati, any thoughts on the new listing of the day, Aeroflex Industries? It listed with a much superior gain. I think it listed close to 190, 195. The issue price was 108, but right now it's settled with a gain of about 50%. That's 165. The company makes those metallic flexible hose pipes, or just hoses or pipes, which traditionally caters to your legacy industries like oil and gas, etc. But now, increasingly, reports seem to suggest that maybe these products of this company can be used for new age themes like lithium-ion batteries, the manufacture of semiconductors, EV, robotics, just saying all the right things. And that's also got the street quite fired up in its imagination. Did you look at Aeroflex Industries?
No, to be fair, Rima, I haven't. But the reality is that the IPO market had kind of got kicked all over the place. And I'm glad to see an IPO that's actually opened aggressively higher than its offer price. So I guess that'll get people back into the IPO market because there have been a lot of IPOs that have been very indifferent in the last couple of months. So I think that this is a definite step. Again, the industry, what is good about what you're telling me, and I honestly haven't followed the stock, is that this is a company that's reinventing itself, and they always say if you can find new uses for your product, you increase your markets. So I guess that's what Aeroflex has done, and happy for them, if you know what I mean.
Pashupati, I don't know if you've discussed Sula, but any thoughts on this one? I mean, it's a consumer company, so check in that sense. It's low penetration as of now, so that's another check. But what do you think of this one? Globally, though, I think one pushback I've heard is that globally it's more the beer companies which kind of have been able to scale. Now you can argue and say that the penetration is so low that even to get to 5-6% kind of penetration levels, there's a long road ahead. Any thoughts?
Well, alcohol companies. Well, on the one hand, alcohol is a major producer of excise, so therefore, I don't think the government is going to cut the feet off any of the booze companies or the cigarette companies, for that matter. I think India is at the point where more people are drinking wine, first beer and then wine, and I think that is a lifestyle shift, and that obviously will benefit Sula. It is very, very difficult to import any kind of wine into India because of the label requirements and the state-wise requirements. And Sula sort of jumps over all those because it's really a generic wine which can be sold in all the states. So, I mean, it's a play. I mean, if you like it. But again, we have a government that is basically Gujarati. You're not allowed to drink in Gujarat, ha ha ha. But, I think that it goes against the grain of what the government wants. So they'll let it survive, but they're not going to encourage it, I think. So that's my thought on the alcohol sector.
All right. We'll leave it there. Pashupati, thank you very much. Appreciate you joining in with that perspective. Thanks very much, as always. Well, I think we're at the new low, right? We are at the new low for the Nifty. So we are at...
and we're at the lowest levels, Prashant, for the month as well. Till now, 19,229, I remember. For August, that has been the lowest level and it's held. And the Nifty is just now, it's testing that.
Yeah, 4 months the market's been going up, and I think after 4 months of upward move, this is going to be a down close. For the month, we're down about 2.6%. It's not large, but it is down. Nigel, you want to come in?
Just one word I want to make on Jio Financial Services, that passive selling is taking place. The stock was locked in upper circuit, and from the upper circuit, it's come off. So that's why it's come off close to around 5%. So keep an eye on that one. Another stock I just want to bring on your radar is one of these cash market stocks, Skipper. It's been a rank outperformer. But in the last 10 minutes or so, if you pull up the intraday chart, it saw a sharp decline and then it got picked up as well. I think it went from around 230 rupees to around 210. And from there, Skipper again has seen a bit of a bounce. So just keep an eye on a couple of these stocks that have done very, very well. And finally, I'm looking at Vesuvius. It's not a very, very liquid counter, but it's one of those names where there could be a bit of a rejig on the MSCI front. And typically, we see larger moves when some of these stocks where it's not very, very liquid. So maybe one of those stocks that you could keep on your radar as well. Explains why the stock has moved to the high point of the day.
Yeah, Nigel, just a second, since you mentioned Jio Finance, good you brought that up. Let's get that back on the screen. Let's inform our viewers in case you've not followed it because it's been a little all over the place. It's only going away from the BSE indices today. We've crossed 2 o'clock. I think 2 o'clock was the deadline. So it goes away from the sensex and from the other BSE indices. But Nigel, from what I understand, it's still very much a part of the Nifty and the NSE indices because I think the criteria they are following is you need to get 2 clean days with no circuit, no up, no down.
Absolutely.
And then it goes out, right?
Absolutely, Surbi. You got it correct. Even in the middle, at the start of this week, there was some kind of confusion. But there has to be 2 clean days, and we don't have that as of now. So it'll trade tomorrow. We'll see on Friday as well as Monday. But just one more point. Since it goes out of T to T, the circuit will not be 5%. It'll be a higher circuit, 15 or 20% odd. So that's why from Monday onwards, you should get those 2 clean days, and then from then on, it will exit. But I think we've gone on for a longish bit. Let's slip in a short break. You come back. Nimish is waiting for us on the other side. He'll tell us what he's picking up in terms of dealing room chat. Stay with us. Welcome back. Well, the lower levels have got defended. I think this is an expiry-related move that we are seeing because we went to a lower of around 19,230 odd and we have bounced close to 40 points from there. HDFC Life moves to the high point of the day. Cipla is fighting for the bulls as well. That as well has moved up. And pull up the intraday chart of Sun Pharma. Cipla and Sun Pharma, both of them, they're virtually at the high point of the day as we speak. But let's get in Nimesh as always. Nimesh, tell us, what are you picking up in terms of flows? Another weak session actually.
Yes, Nigel, weak session of day. Nifty is at day's low. But in terms of flows, today is very difficult to pencil in which way the flows will be because of the MSCI rebalancing, the index rebalancing, as well as the fact that it's the FN expiry as well for the month. So that's going to have an impact on the flows as well. So not too much to read into today's flows. I guess two things to read. One, the broader markets are still outperforming. So that's where the big momentum seems to be. That was the feedback for the last many days. In fact, this week, the small cap index, the Nifty small cap index, has hit a fresh all-time high. So there is clearly momentum in the small cap stocks. And also, first signs of some bit of profit booking in the PSU stock, which have been a big outperformer in this entire series. So, as I said, flows difficult to read in today's trade. But I guess the big takeaway is there is still momentum in the broader markets, and that's where the big outperformance continues.
I guess if someone is looking at the index, they'll say, what a boring series, and they actually were the wrong party because the parties were in the mid and the small cap space.
Exactly.
But individual stocks, what do you pick up?
Well, Nigel, I'll talk about few blocks as well, but the first stock at my list today is Aavas Financials. This is one stock which is buzzing in today's trade. I believe a large selling from a leading long-only fund seems to be quite largely over, and some domestic mutual funds have been active buyers in the last couple of days, so a bit of excitement in that stock in today's trade. The second stock is India Bull Housing Finance. That stock has been a tear in this series, right? The stock is up 40% this month, big outperformer as well. A couple of things. One, the Samir Galat's check is now completely out of the way, so there is going to be no further supply overhang. But in the near term, I understand there is going to be a large block. That's a big rumor that there could be a large block in India Bull Housing very soon. So that's something to track in India Bull Housing. Again, the third stock is 5-Star Finance. Even in 5-Star Finance, there is a strong indication that a large block is likely to come very soon. Remember, even now, the private equity owns close to 42% stake in 5-Star Finance. So that's the third one. And the last stock is Electra Green Trek. Been volatile in the last few weeks, but today the stock is buzzing in trade, good volumes as well. And the buzz is that the company is expected a very large order win on the electric buses very soon. So that's keeping the stock exciting in today's trade.
All right, well, Nimesh, thank you very much. That's an interesting list, as always. Electra Green Tech, right? I mean, what a fantastic performance it has seen. But not just Electra, the other bus makers like JB Motto, etc., have also done very, very well. So another large order coming. That's what Nimesh is telling us. Okay, well, let's move on. Just a quick look at the market, which was down in 3 digits. And so it's recovered. I mean, so the low was made at 19,233. We've recovered about 50 points very quickly. The market's recovered 50 points in the last 10 minutes or so. So not staying down, but there is red, definite red. This is an interesting story that we are going to point out next now. A fat finger trade in Nifty bank options happened on the 11th of August. Santosh is here. He's reported this for Money Control. You can go to the Money Control website, read the whole story, but he's here to tell us what happened. And tell us, Santosh.
So what exactly happened on August 11th was there was looks like the erroneous trade in Nifty Bank of the 45,700 strike put options. The prevailing premium at that point in time was around 1,300 rupees. But suddenly there was somebody put in a premium of 90 rupees and you saw a sharp dip, but that was very momentary, and then the trades probably got squared off. There was huge volumes in the put options, 45,700. Now this is what market is speculating. Most likely it seems to be a fat finger error. What would have happened was that the bank Nifty call options of 45,700, they were also trading around 89-90 rupees. So it could have been a case of, while making that algo, probably instead of writing a call for 45,700, they would have written a put for 45,700, but taking the price of the 45,700 call, because of which the prices came off very quickly, and most likely it would have triggered a lot of stop losses on the way down. Quite a few people would have lost money, most likely. This is what I'm picking from market sources, is that these trades were done by multiple clients using the same algo. All of them were using the same algo strategy. So this is what basically we are hearing from the market. Of course, we also pick up that many traders on the other side would have made some money very quickly because they managed to get something which was really dirt cheap. So likely that they would have flipped their positions immediately after.
Shouldn't there are controls in place, right? You can't enter prices far outside the far away from the prevailing price.
Right.
So should that have worked? I mean, anything you're picking up there?
Yes. So this again is what I'm picking from the market, because we did ask NSE. NSE said that our systems are working fine. That's been their response to us. But what people, brokers, traders in the market are saying is that the limit price protection mechanism which is there, ideally, if it was a single order from a single client, maybe the order would have been rejected, because the NSE frequently asked question very clearly says that any order which is put outside the range of the LPP, which is the limit protection price, and which is dynamic in nature, that will be rejected. So it is possible that when this algo was fired, there would have been orders coming in from multiple clients and of the same price, which probably could have led the system to think that these are fair orders and this is the fair price at this point in time, which is why maybe the orders would have found their way into the system. So this is the theory.
But this Santosh, was a trade that involved a far month contract. So would it have had any bearing on the near month options trade or the spot price at all? Any indication of that?
So this was the bank Nifty on that day was trading around 44,700. That was the range roughly. This option was for 45,700. So that is one of the reason it didn't attract a lot of notice. But at the same time, if you look at the trading volumes in the 45,700 put as well as 45,700 call, they were higher than the usual volume seen on other days of the month. So had this been a near in the money kind of contract, probably there could have been a lot of volatility in the market, because a lot of positions in the options market are also offset by similar positions in the cash market. So if one gets unwound suddenly for some reason, there's a good chance that you could have seen some kind of volatility in the cash market as well. But we didn't see any of that on that day.
Human error is called fat finger. What is the algo error called?
Oh, well, we'll have to devise a term for that.
Algo fat
I don't think the fat. I don't know. Digital error or something.
Thank you very much, Santosh. Well, a great story as always. Tracking what's happening in the market, which is not always obvious right away. As I said, you can read the full story by Santosh on the Money Control website. Now, Mitesh is joining us to tell us what to buy or sell today for a reverse trade tomorrow. Mitesh is here. Mitesh, welcome back. It seems to be the trend seems to be lower and lower with some bounces along the way. But do you think ultimately these levels of 19,230, which is the last low, 19,210, the support line, those will break? Fresh lows are coming?
I actually, was earlier hoping that it will not happen. But the last 2-3 throwbacks from the level 200 have continuously made lower highs. So I'm a bit worried. But as a trader, I'll take action only once it starts trading below 19,200 on the Nifty, and then explore some shorting opportunities. Maybe buy into put options, if not short futures directly. Given the fact that we are still trading around that level, the chance of bounce back remains. So I'm exploring some long positions for the time being. I think Electra Green Tech was mentioned a few minutes back. That's given a good breakout from about 10-12 days of consolidation when the stock was not able to get past 12, 35, 40 zones. So now it's done that. That's a buy with a stop at 12.30 or maybe 2-3 points below that. Look for 12.85, 12.90 as the target. And the other one which I like is Shriram Finance, which is a BTST. Keep a stop at about levels of 19.20. Look for 19.55.60 as the target for tomorrow.
Mitesh, thank you very much for joining in. Look forward to chatting with you tomorrow. By the way, HDFC Bank is a stock which is leading that recovery to some extent. It led the fall and now it's trying to inch up. HDFC Bank has practically erased all its losses. We'll get into a break. On the other side, we'll be joined by Ambarish Balika. Stay tuned.
Welcome back. Well, the markets tried to pull back, but that pullback as well got sold into. Again, we're at the low point of the day. And just take a look at a few of these stocks. LTI Mindtree has moved to the low point of the day. ONGC has seen a sharp downtick as well. And Bajaj Finance as well. So those lows actually have not got defended. It was just an intraday pullback. But the broader markets is where the action is. So let's focus on that. Amrish Palika joins us to help us out. Hi, Amrish. You normally join in and give us one stock. Which one is it this time around?
Good afternoon, Nigel. This time it is RITES. Again, I recommend this stock in April with a target of about 484, which has now been crossed, so I'm revising the target. It's a leading transport and infra consultancy organization having domestic and international presence. Key areas are metro, rail infra, highways, airports, ports and waterways. Though it's been more of a consulting sort of a revenue has been more than 50%, but they have a good presence in turnkey construction, rolling stock and export of locomotives and spares. And consulting margins are at a high of 44%, and they have been showing a consistent blended EBITDA margins of about 27 to 30%. Currently, they have about 700 ongoing projects with an order book of about 5,700 crores. Out of which they got 306 crores order in Q1. So this has a visibility of about 2 years. And with government focus on railways and transportation infra, I think RITES will continue to get good orders even going ahead, say the next 3 to 5 years. And if you're talking of the international presence, they have an extremely good presence in South Asia and Africa. And the company is also currently working on a few railway station development orders on a turnkey basis. And I think this is a huge opportunity going ahead. In fact, they have a 24% stake in Indian Railway Station Development Corporation, which is actually executing this. And the energy management business of REMC, in fact, they have a 51% stake in that. That's a subsidiary. And that's also been showing good performance. If you look at the balance sheet, extremely good cash position, 836 crores. And if you look at the dividend payout, 86% payout. I mean, last year they paid out 20.5, so a decent dividend yield. Looking at an EPS for FY25 of about 28, so I'm revising my target to 630.
By the way, now you're seeing an impact of the MSCI related changes. Pull up an HDFC AMC. The stock has spiked 1.25%. According to, I think, some estimates, it's likely to see inflows of $150 million, and that stock has seen some buying. IDFC First Bank up 2.5%. Supreme Industries. All these intraday charts will show you that vertical spike in the last 10 minutes. The adjustment, these are stocks where we're likely to see some inflows on the back of the MSCI Standard Index Review August, which is effective from today. So there is that buying which is coming through. And another one is Prestige Estates. Pull up Prestige, 3.9% higher on that. I'm not too sure if it's related to MSCI, but that's a stock which is getting rapidly bid up right now.
It is actually HDFC Bank which is leading a bit of a fight back. Otherwise, this market had broken below 19,230 as well. Now it's climbing back to 19,269, 270 thereabouts. A sharp spike coming in. And this is one stock that has been really contributing to this. So as we speak, I mean, there's also Ultratech Cement, some other names like IndusInd Bank, L&T. These are some of the stocks that are doing the firefighting at this point in time. Otherwise, of course, it has been a weak session. Now, let's try and squeeze in one final question with Amrish.
Sorry, just one thing. Sorry. Look at the small cap index. The intraday should come up on your screen. It's gone the opposite way. It's a rocket. It's, it's incredible. It was outperforming. It was up half. Look at that. That's a small cap index.
Wow.
It's taken off. And this is basically from exactly 3 p.m. onwards. The small cap index has added 0.5%, while the Nifty is the Nifty, Bank Nifty have gone the other way. So this is just quite remarkable. Just wanted to point that out, Surbhi.
Oh, absolutely. Amrish, let's sort of get your final thoughts in. Today, quite a few stocks were in the news because of these large blocks, MedPlus, Sula. Any thoughts on these?
No, in fact, MedPlus, I find that expensive at this point of time, so I'll not be investing fresh. In fact, if I see any upside, possibly I'll utilize that to book out.
And today's listing, Aeroflex Industries. Any thoughts you'd like to leave our viewers with on this one? The market can be wherever. Listings these days just go through the roof.
No, that's true. But then, in fact, I am a director on the board of the company which managed the issue for this company, for this IPO. So I would prefer not to comment on it.
Ambarish, thank you very much for joining in. Enjoy the rest of your day. Coming to the close of what's been an extremely volatile last 1 hour, finally closing above 19,250, but firmly in the red, 60 points down on the Nifty. Sensex lower by 100 points. Mid-caps putting up a fight. Saw some volatility, dipped into the red, but it wants to close up in the green. And the small cap index, that's where the action is. Small cap index closing with a gain of close to about 1%. Quick run through of the gainers. Maruti is your top gainer. Reclaim 10,000, might close just below that. Cipla, HDFC Life, Hindalco, Titan, some of the other notable winners. On the losing side, Adani Enterprises down 3.5%. Oil marketing companies weak. Eicher Motors down 2%. Britannia, Tata Consumer. So some of these FMCG names also came under pressure.
By the way, just want to point out that we've got the preliminary inflation reading for the Eurozone for August. That print is higher than anticipation. So there's some negative news on the macros there coming through. Anyway, just quickly talk about mid-caps as the bell goes. Some of these contracting stocks, EPC stocks, they've had a very good session. Look at NCC, big volumes and huge price, 12% on this one. Dilip Bilkon was the other stock, 7.5% higher. Other names that found traction included a Kalyan jeweler, sparkling bright there, 10% on Kalyan. You had an Equita small finance bank, Geo Financial Services, that is still a part of the Nifty and the NSE indices, but no longer a part of the Sensex and the BSE indices. That index ends with a gain of about, stock ends with a gain of about 4%. BHEL, Hindustan Copper, RVNL, some of these PSUs also had a decent session. On the losing side, we've already discussed MedPlus and Sula, Ashok Leyland, Bank of Baroda, IRB. These are some of the other large mid-caps where we saw some selling come through.
I think Supreme also is that MSCI.
MSCI.
So yeah,
I think $177 million was one estimate of the inflows.
So yeah, that was a surprise when I remember. Supreme was actually absolutely, it's actually started 5% higher, then it sold off 5%. It ends up 5%. So
it's also
not
an F&O stock, it's a cash stock.
Yeah.
So I think that also adds. So a lot of the other stocks see pre-positioning because they're a part of the F&O, but Supreme is not. And therefore, you tend to see even that last minute up moves when there is that MSCI related angle.
Absolutely. But so many more names, right? I mean, Titagarh, 10%, right? I mean, we talked to the management of Jupiter Wagons, which that's actually the larger of the two between Titagarh and Jupiter, surprisingly. But yeah, Titagarh 10%. Gland is another one which went up 10%. Zensar Tech, I'm not sure if we mentioned it. LG Brothers. There's Data Pattern which went up sharply. And so many others. Spandana was up about 4.6%. Rosari Biotech 5.5%. Shalby Hospitals. That's one of the names which Vijay Kedia mentioned earlier on in the week when he was on. So he owns over 1% there. So 243. Iron Exchange saw some correction recently, but is basically back up, almost back to about 570 now. Iron Exchange up 10% today. Big volumes as well, by the way, so not small at all. What else? I mean, actually, you'll have to go down the list because there are so many names. VST Tillers, 5.5%. There is Take Solutions, which went up about 7%. Sakti Sugars, 7%. Rushil Decor, about 5.5%, and so on and so forth. So, really, I mean, as I said, basically, the small cap index rallied 0.5%, even as the Nifty and the Bank Nifty went south. So that's the power of small caps, if you can put it that way. It's a wrap on this edition of Closing Bell. From all of us here, goodbye. Thank you for watching. But stay tuned. Our Thursday special, Big Deal, will take the action forward, coming up next.